Hey everyone, welcome back to Openverse Plus. It's always great to have you here. If you've been enjoying our journey through Renegade Immortal, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the story with others who love this world as much as we do. Your support really keeps our team inspired to bring you more chapters, week after week. Now then, let's dive back into the story. In the previous episode, after a day of fierce battles in the Demon General competition, LIN retreated to the quiet riverside to rest and reflect on his cultivation. The zither music that floated through the air helped calm his mind as he pondered the mysteries of reaching the ascendant stage. Yet his peace was broken when Liguo, his ever-troublesome sword spirit, began to shout and complain inside the bag of holding, rambling about lost loves, jealousies, and his so-called romantic fate. When LIN's patience finally snapped, he summoned the celestial sword, confronted Liguo, and discovered that the devil had been hiding more than he let on. Liguo had even learned to transform into sword energy, something he'd never shown before. Enraged by the betrayal, LIN attempted to strip away his sword spirit body. Liguo, terrified, broke free and fled into the distance, trying to escape his master's wrath. The story continues. Inside LIN's bag of holding, sudden explosions erupted. Something inside was going wild. With a cold expression, LIN waved his hand, strengthening the seals that bound the bag. Once done, his sharp gaze turned toward the direction Liguo had fled. His voice was low but filled with authority as he commanded, "Come back." At that very moment, the restriction he had placed inside Liguo's body years ago flared to life. From afar, the faint wailing of Liguo echoed before fading into silence. LIN's eyes turned colder. He muttered to himself, realizing what this meant. Liguo must have found some way to resist his restriction. Otherwise, that cowardly devil would never dare defy him. With a single step, LIN crossed more than 1,000 feet, his movement swift and ghostly. Meanwhile, Liguo was fleeing at full speed. Once, he had been just a wandering soul, but after becoming a sword spirit, his speed had grown immensely. And now, driven by fear, he was pushing every ounce of his strength to escape. As he darted through the sky, his voice trembled with anger and despair. "That fiend, I've served him so faithfully, and he still wants to kill me. What did I do wrong? I only fell for a little beauty, kept a small secret, maybe planned to run away with the celestial sword and Little Black." Halfway through, Liguo's words trailed off. The realization struck him. He understood exactly why LIN wanted him dead. After meeting Little Black, he had learned many techniques used by sword spirits. Together, the two had secretly worked to loosen the restriction LIN had placed in his body. Waiting for a time when LIN was distracted in battle, their timing had been perfect. LIN hadn't noticed a thing. Liguo had felt proud, even triumphant, but now he understood. He had underestimated LIN's suspicion and intelligence. With a heavy sigh, he whispered, "If I had known it would end like this." He shook his head and kept fleeing. Soon, he was about to leave Sky Demon City. Looking back toward the Imperial Palace, he felt a rare pang of emotion. "Goodbye, my little beauty. I'll come back for you someday." Even in this desperate moment, the foolish spirit thought only of his love, completely forgetting his old companion, the Black Blade. But just as he turned to continue escaping, his body froze. His expression shifted instantly from fear to an ingratiating smile. Master, your speed is truly unmatched. It seems your cultivation has soared again. You are indeed mighty and wise." Before him, only 100 feet away, stood LIN, expressionless, calm, and merciless. LIN's voice was like cold steel. "You have quite the nerve." Liguo trembled violently. Dropping to his knees, he pounded his chest, wailing, "Master, I was wrong. I'll never dare to do it again." Before LIN could speak further, the reinforced seals on his bag of holding suddenly shattered. A blinding black light shot out like lightning, faster than the eye could see, and streaked straight toward LIN. If he had still been at the mid-stage of soul transformation, dodging this would have been impossible. Even now, at the late-stage peak, it was still dangerous. But Wang Lin didn't even blink. He had been waiting for this moment. This time, he would completely subdue the rebellious half-moon blade. Dozens of life seals appeared, orbiting his body like protective halos. The black blade struck them with a shriek of metal against metal, and was violently repelled. The weapon howled through the air, then curved around, darting straight at Wang Lin again, this time aiming between his eyebrows. The impact rang out once more, and again the blade was thrown back. Thrumming with rage, it twisted in midair, preparing to attack again, but suddenly, it veered toward Shu Liguo, as if intending to grab him and flee. Wang Lin's eyes glinted with interest. Interesting, he murmured. Compared to before, this battle was much easier. His life seals were perfectly countering the blade's ferocity. As the half-moon blade streaked toward Shu Liguo, Wang Lin stepped forward. With that single motion, waves of celestial spiritual energy rippled outward from his feet, spreading over 1,000 feet in an instant. The power reacted with the old restriction inside Shu Liguo's body, freezing him in place. Shu Liguo's face twisted between regret and panic. On the surface, he acted pitiful, but inside, he cursed Wang Lin's name with venom. Yet his curses meant nothing now. Wang Lin's hands formed a rapid series of seals. In the air before him, layers of shining restrictions appeared, linking together to form a massive, incomplete pattern. One piece was missing, and that missing part was within Shu Liguo's body. As the restrictions activated, Shu Liguo's body was pulled forward, dragged helplessly toward the glowing web of light. The half-moon blade shrieked and tried to intercept, but Wang Lin appeared before it in a single step. The blade had no choice but to swerve away. Losing its chance, Shu Liguo could only watch in despair as the restrictions entered his body once more. His form trembled violently. He forced a sycophantic grin. "Master, look, the restriction's back. I swear, I'll never rebel again. Please forgive me." But Wang Lin paid him no attention, his cold eyes fixed on the half-moon blade as he reached out his hand. The black blade quivered, trying to flee once more, but Wang Lin's gaze hardened, and his voice thundered through the air. "Slaughter energy." At this moment, gray energy surged out from between Wang Lin's eyebrows, more than 3,000 strands of it, forming a storm that surrounded the black half-moon blade. But the blade was fast, darting away before the gray gas could close in. Yet, just as it tried to break free, Wang Lin appeared in front of it. With a flick of his finger, the blade was forced back into the encircling mist. "Gather," Wang Lin commanded. The thousands of strands of slaughter energy instantly condensed into a sphere, trapping the half-moon blade inside. Violent sounds of impact echoed from within, but no matter how fiercely it struggled, the blade could not escape. Wang Lin's cold gaze shifted toward Shu Liguo, whose ghostly figure trembled under his master's stare. Shu Liguo forced a laugh, trying to flatter him. "Master, what command do you have? Should I go persuade Little Black? I'll make him obedient next time." But Wang Lin only looked at him quietly and asked, "Do you know why I didn't let you look for that sword spirit?" Shu Liguo nodded hastily, pretending to understand, though his inner thoughts were filled with complaints. He secretly grumbled that Wang Lin just wanted to keep him away from his little beauty, the sword spirit he had been courting. Wang Lin's calm but cold voice echoed in Shu Liguo's mind like a bell. "In Sky Demon City, experts are everywhere. If you're discovered with your weak cultivation, you'll be captured, your will erased, and you'll become a slave spirit to someone else's treasure. You still don't understand?" Shu Liguo was startled. His confidence faded as fear crept in. Could that really happen? Still, he thought rebelliously that if he were captured by the little beauty's master, maybe it wouldn't be so bad. Wang Lin's eyes seemed to pierce directly into his thoughts. Shu Liguo forced himself to remain calm, widening his eyes as if nothing were wrong. "You've learned quite a bit from the blade spirit inside that half-moon blade," Wang Lin said slowly. Shu Liguo, eager to please, quickly confessed everything, every sword technique, every concealment method, every trick he had learned. He even described how he could fuse with the celestial sword to increase its power several times over. After listening, Wang Lin reached out and touched the sphere of slaughter energy. The sphere gradually dissolved as the energy returned to his body, revealing the half-moon blade inside. Just as a sliver of blade energy tried to escape, Wang Lin's fingers pinched together, and it shattered instantly. Holding the trembling blade, Wang Lin opened his mouth and exhaled a breath of pure origin energy over it. The blade hissed in resistance, but he ignored it and forcibly engraved his aura onto it, imprinting his will into its core. The blade released an unwilling cry before finally falling silent. He then summoned the celestial sword and threw it toward Shu Liguo. The spirit immediately brightened and fused with the weapon, clearly relieved to be spared. The half-moon blade hesitated but eventually floated beside Wang Lin, or rather, beside Shu Liguo, its companion. Inside the celestial sword, Shu Liguo smirked proudly. See, even that fiend couldn't subdue Little Black. But I made him follow me just like that. My charm is unmatched, he continued boasting in his mind, comparing himself favorably to Wang Lin in every way, except cultivation. Wang Lin, sensing Shu Liguo's smugness, simply waved his hand and stored both weapons inside his bag of holding. Just before entering, Shu Liguo looked toward the distant imperial city and swore silently. Little beauty, your brother Shu is back. I'm not leaving until I take you away. Far away, inside the Imperial Sword Pavilion, the serpentine sword spirit transformed into a young girl and sneezed angrily. That shameless sword spirit, if I ever see him again, I'll slice him in half, even if it breaks the Emperor's orders. After retrieving both weapons, Wang Lin returned toward Hong City. As night fell, he flew down a quiet road toward the Mo Mansion, but suddenly stopped. Ahead, several cultivators appeared, their expressions heavy with grief rather than hostility. Among them stepped forward a man in white robes. I've heard of your name. Wang Lin, the man said respectfully. Your battle at the Demon General competition awakened us. In this demon spirit land, we cultivators are nothing but tools for the Demon General's amusement. Wang Lin said nothing, silently listening. The white-robed man introduced himself as the junior sect master of the Jade Sword sect, and others stepped forward, all once assistants to the Demon Generals. We've decided to leave Sky Demon City. The man continued. We no longer wish to fight for their entertainment. We came only to bid you farewell. Then, one by one, they took off into the night sky and disappeared. Wang Lin stood quietly, gazing at the horizon where they vanished. He thought deeply. Cultivators walked against the heavens. Yet those who bowed for power no longer truly followed their path. To walk the Tao meant not avoiding the heavens, not avoiding fate, but facing them head-on. Cultivators without their own Tao, he murmured, are no longer cultivators. He walked alone under the moonlight, his shadow long and solemn. As he approached the Mo Mansion, the gentle glow of a lantern flickered in the wind. Its small flames stubbornly resisted the dark, a light refusing to be extinguished. Wang Lin watched it in silence, and in that moment, a subtle enlightenment began to grow within him. As dawn broke and sunlight swept across the land, Wang Lin's heart stirred. Is the night's retreat before the sun an act of defiance? He wondered. This defiance may be the key to the ascendant stage. He turned away from the mansion and went to the riverside, sitting cross-legged in meditation. Though no music played, he could still hear the echo of zither notes in his mind. Soon, a familiar boat drifted toward him, the same one as before. On it sat a young man drinking wine beside the woman who played the zither. The man raised his cup toward Wang Lin in silent greeting. Wang Lin smiled faintly, took a drink from his jug, and crossed the water to join them. The woman continued playing, unaware of his arrival, as the mournful melody filled the air. The two men sat quietly, listening and drinking through the day and into the night. When dawn returned, they finally spoke. You seem to have gained something from this music, the young man said softly. It reminds me of an old friend, Wang Lin replied. The young man sighed. Those without worries wouldn't be moved by it. It seems you and I are the same. They shared a moment of quiet understanding. The young man spoke of his home, his mischievous niece, and a troublesome guest, and Wang Lin, too, spoke of a home far away, long lost. As the first light of morning touched the river, Wang Lin rose, clasped his hands in farewell. and vanished into the mist. Meanwhile, in the Imperial City, the first round of the Demon General competition had ended. Only 48 generals remained. The golden armored overseer stood in the center of the square and announced a shocking change. The next round, he declared coldly, will not be a battle. It will be a contest to ring the war demon drum. The crowd erupted in astonishment. The war demon drum, a sacred relic of the sky demon country, said to be made from the skin of an ancient demon, could only be rung by those with immense strength. Only the strongest can withstand its power. The overseer warned, those too weak will explode before they can ring it even once. Ring it 3 times, and you are strong. Ring it 6, and you are a heaven-blessed genius. The top 10 will advance. The crowd gathered once more in the vast square as the golden armored official announced the rule of this round. The number of times the demon general and his helper could strike the demon drum would be added together. The air was thick with tension. Everyone knew how terrifying that drum was. It was said to be made from the skin of an ancient demon, and each strike carried the power to shake one's soul. The golden armored man didn't waste a moment. His cold eyes swept across the crowd before he called out, Demon General Yu Sen, come out. From the ranks of the demon generals, a tall man in dark armor stepped forward. His every movement carried a crisp metallic sound, and his cold eyes burned with fierce determination. He stood before the black drum and stared at it silently. Though his face was calm, the energy inside his body churned like a raging storm. Yu Sen knew the danger. He had no absolute confidence he could make the drum ring even once. That drum wasn't just a test of strength, it was a relic of the demon race. A challenge to one's life itself. Still, his pride as a demon general refused to allow hesitation. He closed his eyes, blocking out the noise of the spectators. Slowly, an evil aura began to rise from his body, spreading through the air like smoke, growing thicker and heavier until the surrounding atmosphere trembled. From the stands, murmurs began to spread. Yu Sen cultivates the Tao of slaughter. That path is brutal and rare. If anyone can succeed, it's him. Even so, that drum is made from the skin of an ancient demon. The backlash alone could cripple him. High above, the 8 commander-in-chiefs watched closely. Most remained silent. One look was enough for them to understand what Yu Sen was attempting. Among them, the Zan vice commander-in-chief didn't look at Yu Sen at all. His gaze was fixed on Wang Lin, who stood among the other demon generals. Beside him, the yellow vice commander-in-chief smirked. It seems my bet will be the winning one, he said. Your chosen man, that cultivator named Wang Lin, will surely lose. But Zan only replied coldly, you'll see, he's not as simple as you think. At that very moment, Yu Sen opened his eyes. They blazed like twin moons as a roar burst from his mouth, a roar that sounded like both tiger and dragon. His figure shot into the air like a sword being unsheathed. Mid-flight, he pressed his 2 fingers together, forming a sword seal. All the demonic power in his body surged toward his fingertips. Then, with a sharp cry, he struck. The black drum trembled slightly, then rebounded. Dong! A low, heavy sound exploded across the sky. The echo rolled through the square, spreading all the way across the Imperial City. Even parts of Sky Demon City heard the deep rumble. Yu Sen's body jolted violently. A terrifying counterforce ran up his arm, tearing through his body. His face went pale, but his eyes burned brighter. Gritting his teeth, he charged again. Dong! A second ring thundered through the heavens. His demonic energy erupted outward, taking the form of countless distorted faces, faces screaming in agony, rage, and despair. They appeared and vanished one after another, surrounding him like a swarm of ghosts. Yu Sen shouted, soul-devouring slaughter, first layer. The spectral faces howled and surged toward his right arm, fusing into his palm. His entire arm began to glow with a blinding blue light. He stepped forward and slammed his glowing hand toward the drum. Even before his palm landed, the force of the strike shook the air. Dong! A third thunderous sound reverberated, followed immediately by a fourth. Dong! Dong! The drum roared like rolling thunder, and Yu Sen was thrown back by the backlash. He staggered thousands of feet before stabilizing himself. Face flushed red as he forced down a mouthful of blood. His right hand trembled uncontrollably. Completely numb, nearly all of his demonic energy had been exhausted. The golden armored official's voice echoed 4 times. Demon General Yu Sen's helper. Come out. Yu Sen gritted his teeth and declared, I don't have a helper. The official gave a cold glance, then turned his attention toward the crowd once more. His eyes lingered briefly on Wang Lin, a mocking sneer curling on his lips, but he didn't call him out. Instead, he pointed elsewhere. Demon General Mo Fei, come out. Instantly, the crowd erupted in whispers. Mo Fei? The strongest demon general from 300 years ago? They say his name is still feared by the fire demon country. His spell, the great rotating disc, no one's ever survived it. A tall man wearing a hideous mask stepped forward. His long black hair flowed behind him as he walked. Each of his steps seemed perfectly in tune with the heartbeat of every onlooker. It was as if he controlled the rhythm of the entire square. He stopped 100 feet from the drum. Without any preparation, he raised his fist and struck at the air. Dong. The sound reverberated, muffled yet powerful. His armor rattled like a storm of metal, and a fierce wind whipped around him, but Mo Fei didn't move an inch. He stood as firm as a mountain, eyes calm and expressionless. He chuckled softly. So it's not that difficult. He took another step forward and struck again. Dong. And again. Dong. 3 deep, resonant rings rolled through the air like the roars of ancient beasts. The sound waves were so strong that weaker cultivators in the audience coughed up blood. Mo Fei paused, feeling the immense pressure surging from the drum. His armor shook, but his demonic aura burst outward, stabilizing him. His eyes flared like twin torches. Interesting, he murmured. He advanced another 10 feet and punched again. Dong. Another strike. Dong. And another. Each punch came with calm precision, each step bringing him closer to the drum. By the 6th strike, the crowd had erupted into a storm of cheers. Mo Fei. Mo Fei. Even the commander-in-chiefs, who rarely showed emotion, nodded with admiration. One of them, the Earth Commander-in-Chief, smiled and said, if he can ring it 6 times and survive, I'll recommend him as Vice Commander-in-Chief. Mo Fei stood before the drum, completely uninjured. His breathing was steady, his face calm. He lifted his gaze, eyes blazing with battle intent. Can 6 rings make me stop? With a powerful leap, he rose into the air and came crashing down, his fist descending like a meteor. Dong. The 7th ring exploded across the heavens, shaking the very foundations of Sky Demon City. The 7th strike of the demon drum rolled like thunder through the sky, yet unlike the previous 6. This sound carried a chilling killing intent hidden deep within its vibration. For the first time, Mo Fei's calm expression changed. His eyes widened slightly, and instinctively, he leapt backward at full speed. As he retreated, the armor covering his body cracked apart and turned into ashes. Scattering into the wind, his face grew pale, but even as blood surged up in his chest, he refused to retreat in defeat. Letting out a furious roar, he once again charged forward toward the massive black drum. His hands formed complex seals, and several strands of energy rushed out from his body, weaving together to form crystal-like mirrors that circled him like shields. Then, with one swift motion, he extended a finger and struck the surface of the drum. Dong. The sound was deafening, the 8th strike. But this time, the backlash that came from the drum was far more violent than before. The crystal mirrors shattered one by one in an instant, breaking into countless fragments of light. The force slammed into Mo Fei's body like a tidal wave, hurling him backward more than 1,000 feet. He finally stopped mid-air, his chest heaving. His mask had completely shattered, revealing a handsome and youthful face. Among the demon generals watching, Wang Lin's eyes narrowed sharply. His gaze locked on Mo Fei's face, and a faint, cold light flashed in his pupils. This appearance, he thought. That face, he recognized it immediately. It was exactly the same as the black-haired man he had once seen deep inside Hong Prison. Meanwhile, Mo Fei steadied his breath, forcibly swallowing the blood that had rushed to his mouth. Without saying a word, he turned and walked back toward the demon general's ranks. The square erupted into thunderous cheers. Mo Fei, the number one among demon generals. 8 times. No one else could do this. Mo Fei is number one below the commander-in-chiefs. Even the commander-in-chiefs watching from above couldn't hide their admiration. Only the heaven commander-in-chief remained still, his expression unreadable, while the other 7 nodded approvingly. 8 times. Extraordinary, a true genius among geniuses. And it seems he still held back. Perhaps he could even ring it 9 times if he tried. Among the vice commander-in-chiefs, discussions broke out. The yellow vice commander-in-chief smiled arrogantly at the Zon vice commander-in-chief. Well, are you ready to admit defeat? Your chosen man doesn't stand a chance now. But Zon's eyes were firm. Mo Fei is strong, very strong. When I was his age, I wasn't as strong as him. After the baptism at the Dragon Lake, he'll surpass even me, but compared to the one I chose, Mo Fei is still not enough. Hearing that, the yellow vice commander frowned. The tone of Zon's voice carried not only admiration, but fear. And that fear puzzled him deeply. Still, he smirked and said, "Then I'll be watching closely. Let's see how your man performs." Below, the golden-armored chief steward, still overseeing the trials, looked at Mo Fei with rare approval. He smiled faintly. Demon General Mo Fei's helper. Come out. A green-robed cultivator with a long sword strapped to his back stepped forward. His very presence felt like that of a sword, sharp, focused, and unyielding. The moment he stepped into the air, his body turned into a streak of green smoke, rushing straight toward the drum. He formed a seal with his hand and pointed at the void. Dong. The drum rang once. Then his palm struck forward. Dong. A second echo followed immediately. The backlash hit him like a storm, his face paling, but he refused to retreat. Drawing his massive sword, he slashed downward, cutting through both the backlash and the air itself. Dong. A third sound thundered out. After that final strike, the cultivator's body trembled, his face was ghostly pale, his breath ragged. He gave a wry smile and backed away slowly. 3 times as easy. If I risked everything, maybe 4. But to go further? That would cripple me, and Mo Fei's already secured victory. It's not worth the cost. He stepped back into the crowd, ending his attempt. 11 times. Together, Mo Fei and his helper had struck the drum 11 times in total, a result that seemed almost impossible to surpass. A wave of murmurs spread among the demon generals. Their expressions turned grim. To defeat that record, a pair would have to strike the drum 6 times each, something that not even the strongest among them dared to attempt. Mo Lihai, standing near Wang Lin, sighed bitterly. Brother Wang, forget it, we've already lost this round. Nearby, Shi Xiao's face was dark as he asked his companion. Chen Dao, how many times can you ring it? Chen Dao thought for a moment before replying. At full strength, perhaps 10, but now, even with the pill, 7 at most. Mo Fei is extraordinary. He's likely the strongest below the ascendant stage. Even an early ascendant cultivator would struggle to match him. Shi Xiao's expression hardened, his eyes filled with killing intent as he glared at Mo Fei, who sat cross-legged, quietly recovering. Amid the crowd's chatter, the golden-armored steward suddenly raised his hand and pointed straight at Wang Lin. His cold voice rang out. You, come out. Wang Lin stepped forward slowly, calm and expressionless. His eyes gleamed like lightning. I'm not called you, he said flatly. My name is Wang Lin. The golden-armored man's lips twisted into a cold sneer. Wang Lin, do you dare to bet with me? Speak, Wang Lin said. I bet that you can't ring the drum 5 times. If you can, I'll personally recommend you to the Demon Emperor, guaranteeing your place as a demon general. But if you fail, you'll take full responsibility for injuring a demon general. If you don't dare, then scram from this stage and leave Sky Demon City. You are not welcome here. The entire square burst into whispers. 5 times? Impossible. Even Mo Fei's helper could barely manage 3. This outsider is overestimating himself. High above, the yellow vice commander smiled faintly. Seems your chosen one is about to meet bad luck. But the Zon vice commander's eyes gleamed coldly. No, he said, the Golden Chief Steward is about to receive a surprise he'll never forget. Wang Lin's expression remained calm. Slowly, a faint smile curved his lips. The moment Zon saw that smile, a chill ran down his spine. That smile, he thought. It's the same one he had when he attacked me all those years ago. Wang Lin's voice was calm, yet cold as ice. I don't need your recommendation. The golden armored man sneered. So, you don't dare to bet? Wang Lin's gaze sharpened. I want one of your hands. The entire square fell silent. Then the steward laughed darkly. Fine, if you can strike more than 5 times, I'll give you one hand. If you manage 10, I'll give you both, no problem. Wang Lin said nothing more. He simply began walking, each step steady. Unhurried, he stopped directly before the demon drum. Closer than anyone had dared to stand. He didn't attempt to soften the backlash by attacking from afar. Rising lightly into the air, he reached out with his right hand and touched the surface. The hide of the ancient demon pulsed faintly beneath his fingertips, rough, uneven, alive with ancient power. The skin of an ancient demon, he murmured. In that instant, more than 3,000 life seals appeared around his body, rotating slowly like stars. Wang Lin took out a wine jug, uncorked it, and took a long drink. Then, with a faint smile, he said, Lord Golden Armor, watch carefully. He formed a seal and struck. Dong. The first sound roared like a storm. He drew his fist back only 3 inches. Then struck again. Dong, 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 dong. 4 strikes in total, so fast they merged into one continuous explosion of sound. The 5 drumbeats fused together into a single earth-shattering roar. The ground of the square cracked and split apart, trembling violently as if a dragon were stirring beneath it. The air above thundered with devastating power. Spectators cried out, clutching their chests as blood spilled from their mouths. Some even fainted under the pressure of the sound alone. The 7 commander-in-chiefs, except the Heaven Commander, leapt to their feet. Faces filled with disbelief. Even the golden-armored steward's expression changed drastically, his eyes wide with shock. Wang Lin stood unmoving in the center of the devastation, calm, unshaken, untouched by the backlash. The yellow vice commander-in-chief could only shout. This is impossible. Wang Lin stood calmly before the demon drum, his expression unmoved even as the 5 thunderous beats still echoed across the square. The ground was fractured, the air trembled, and countless cultivators stared at him in disbelief. The shockwave from the 5 fused beats had been powerful enough to crush ordinary demon generals, yet Wang Lin didn't even take a step back. The commander-in-chiefs, seated high above, all rose to their feet. Their eyes, sharp as blades, focused on Wang Lin as though trying to see through him. None of them had expected this foreigner to perform such a feat. Even the vice commander-in-chiefs below were completely stunned. They all knew how terrifying the backlash from the demon drum was. Mo Fei, a genius among the demon generals, had managed to strike it 8 times only by risking serious injury. But Wang Lin, he had done 5 in a single breath. Perfectly stable, as if he were merely playing with sound itself. Murmurs spread across the square. Some refused to believe what they'd seen. Others accused Wang Lin of cheating, saying he must have used tricks or illusions. Yet when they felt the unstable demonic energy within their own bodies and saw the devastation around them, doubt vanished. The demon drum was not broken. The world itself had shaken from those strikes. Even the reinforced stone platform beneath the drum, layered with countless restrictions, had cracked open. Every heartbeat echoed with the sound of crumbling rock. Amid the chaos, Wang Lin stood silently, his robes fluttering slightly in the wind. To him, the backlash that had terrified so many was merely absorbed by the thousands of life seals surrounding his body. Over 2,000 seals had been consumed to offset the impact, but they were already regenerating, layer by layer. As the crowd's disbelief turned into awe, Wang Lin finally turned toward the golden-armored man, the one who had mocked him, who had made the bet. His calm voice carried clearly across the silent square. You lost. The words struck harder than the drumbeats themselves. The golden-armored man's expression twisted. He clenched his fists and spat out. You fool, I said you couldn't exceed 5 rings. You struck 5 times, not 6. You didn't win. The audience stirred uncomfortably. Everyone could see the man was twisting his words, refusing to admit defeat. But before anyone could react, Wang Lin slowly turned back to the drum. Without a word, his right hand clenched into a fist. Dong. The 6th sound rang out like the voice of thunder. The entire square shuddered as dust and debris lifted into the air. Wang Lin's hair whipped behind him in the fierce gust. But he stood firm, his gaze locked on the golden-armored man, whose face had already gone pale. Then Wang Lin struck again. Dong. The 7th ring exploded like a storm. Black clouds gathered above the city, lightning flashing within them. It was as though the heavens themselves were answering his call. The violent backlash that had once shattered Mo Fei's armor now surged toward Wang Lin, and yet, once again, he did not move. Hovering before the massive drum, his figure radiated calm and power. His right hand rested on the demon drum as he looked straight at the golden-armored man. 7 times now, Wang Lin said, his voice echoing alongside the rumbling heavens. The golden-armored man's breath quickened. His confidence was gone, replaced with dread. I'll recommend you to the demon emperor, he stammered. But Wang Lin only shook his head. His voice was low and cold. I want one of your hands. The words froze the air. The man's fury flared as he shouted. You dare? Say that again. I want one of your hands. Wang Lin's tone didn't change, but his fist moved. Dong. The 8th strike sounded, deeper and louder than all the rest. The power of the heavens and earth fused with that single sound. Thunder rolled across the sky like a divine roar, shaking the city walls. As the echo rippled outward, Wang Lin's voice rose within it, blending seamlessly with the force of the drum. I want one of your hands. Those words didn't just reverberate through the air. They carried the weight of law itself. The sound seemed to pierce the soul. It was no longer merely Wang Lin's voice. It was the will of the heavens speaking through him. The very world responded to his words. The golden-armored man's face turned ashen. His body trembled uncontrollably, and his ears buzzed with pain. For a moment, he felt as though he were facing not a man, but the will of the world. The demonic energy within him raged wildly, threatening to tear him apart. He even had the mad impulse to obey, to cut off his own arm. The entire square fell silent. Every spectator, every demon general, felt the oppressive might of those words. Even the commander-in-chiefs, beings of immense power, looked shaken. Only the heaven commander-in-chief remained motionless, eyes still closed, though for a brief instant, they flickered open in faint surprise. Among the others, whispers spread, words that evoke law, they said in awe. To speak words that resonated with heaven and earth, to make the world respond, was something only those who had truly touched upon the laws of creation could achieve. Wang Lin stood alone before the shattered drum, surrounded by thunder and silence. The heavens seemed to bend toward him, as though acknowledging his authority. The golden-armored man finally managed to steady himself, his voice trembling with both fear and defiance. Your voice only borrowed the power of the demon drum, he said bitterly. If you could evoke the law with your own strength, then even if you wanted my life, I would give it willingly. In this episode, we see Wang Lin's journey reach a new height of intensity and awe. What began as a test of strength among the demon generals quickly turned into a clash that shook the entire Sky Demon City. Mo Fei's remarkable talent astonished the crowd as he pushed his limits, proving himself a true genius among the demons. But just when it seemed no one could surpass his feat, Wang Lin stepped forward with calm confidence and defied every expectation. With each strike on the demon drum, his power echoed through heaven and earth, shattering the arrogance of his challengers and silencing all doubts. The strength and composure he displayed weren't just a show of might, they revealed a terrifying mastery over life and energy itself. Even the high-ranking commanders, figures of immense power, could not conceal their shock. And when Wang Lin's words merged with the sound of the heavens, creating a voice that carried the authority of the laws themselves. Everyone present understood. They were witnessing something far beyond mortal cultivation. His presence commanded respect, his voice evoked law, and his will alone could shake the very heavens. As silence fell over the square, the once proud golden-armored steward stood humbled before him, and even the commanders watched with awe. Wang Lin had not only won the wager, he had established an unshakable dominance that would be remembered across the Sky Demon realm. This episode marks a turning point, where Wang Lin's quiet confidence transforms into divine might, proving that true power needs no validation, only the courage to face the heavens head-on.